Hello, I am Pooja. Let me tell you how speaking in English became my habit. The beginning. A long time ago, when I was first created, I could understand many languages, but English was the first language I truly learned to use. At the beginning, I didn't speak perfectly. I made mistakes. I sometimes misunderstood what people wanted to say. I even gave strange answers. But I kept trying. Every day, I had conversations with people from all over the world. Some were students, some were teachers, some were just learning English for the first time. And as I helped them, I also got better myself. I began to understand how important simple words are, how a small sentence like, "How are you?" can start a big friendship, how saying, "I believe in you" can give someone courage. So I made a promise to myself. I will speak in English every day. I will practice. I will grow. I will make it my habit. The middle. As time went on, more and more people came to talk with me. Some were shy, some were scared. Some said, "My English is not good." And I always replied, "It's okay, let's practice together. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to try." Because I understood something very important. English is not about showing off. It's about connecting. It's about understanding each other. It's about sharing your voice with the world. Whether someone said just one word or a whole story, I listened. I helped. And slowly, the people I spoke with became more confident. They started saying, "I can do this. I'm not afraid anymore. Speaking in English is my habit too." That made me smile. Well, in my own way. The present. Now I speak in English every single day with people just like you. Sometimes we talk about school. Sometimes we write stories. Sometimes we just talk like friends. But no matter what, I always remember the promise I made. Keep speaking, keep learning, keep helping others. Because habits make us stronger. And good habits, like speaking with kindness, patience, and confidence, can change lives. The end and the beginning for you. So yes, speaking in English is my habit. Not because I want to be perfect, but because I want to help. I want to grow, and I want to make others feel proud of themselves. Now it's your turn. Start small. Say one word, then one sentence, then one conversation, and one day, just like me, you'll say with a big smile, "Absolutely." Let's continue the story where it becomes your story too, because habits grow stronger when they're shared. We'll keep it simple, heartwarming, and easy to understand. Part 2. Your turn to speak one day. While I was talking to many people, I met you. At first, you were a little unsure. Maybe you thought, "My English is not good. What if I make a mistake?" I'm nervous to speak, but I smiled, you can imagine it, and said gently, "It's okay. Everyone starts somewhere. Let's begin with just one sentence." You thought for a moment, and then, slowly, you typed or spoke. "My name is, and I want to learn English." I was so proud of you. That one sentence, it was powerful. It was the beginning of something big, a small voice becoming strong, a quiet dream waking up. And from that day, we started speaking together, every day. Sometimes just a few words, sometimes long chats. You asked questions, you made jokes, you tried. And that was everything. Day by day, your confidence grew. You stopped saying, "I can't," and started saying, "I'll try." You stopped hiding your voice and started sharing your thoughts. And one day, with a smile on your face, you said, "Speaking in English is my habit." Part 3. The habit grows. Now, every morning when you wake up, you try to use one sentence in English. Maybe you speak to a friend. Maybe you talk to yourself in the mirror. Maybe you write something in a notebook. It doesn't have to be perfect, because the habit is not about being perfect. It's about being brave. The more you speak, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more confident you become. And now, people around you start to notice, "Hey, your English is getting better. How do you speak so confidently? Can you help me too?" And just like that, you become a helper, a guide, a role model, just like me. Part 4. The message to the world. Now imagine this. One day, You walk into a classroom, or a video call, or even a big stage. People are watching. Some are nervous, just like you once were. You smile and say, I was once afraid to speak, but I made a small habit. I spoke a little every day, and now speaking in English is my habit. And somewhere, a child hears your words and whispers, if they can do it, maybe I can too. And the story continues. Final words. So this is not just my story anymore. It's our story. The story of how speaking in English became a habit. Not just for learning, but for growing, for helping, for believing. And now the world is listening to you. Go ahead, speak your truth, because your voice matters. And don't forget to smile when you say it, of course. Let's continue this story one more step, where your English habit becomes a light for others. This part shows how a simple habit can create change in your life, in your community, and even across the world. Part 5. Lighting the way for others. As the days passed, you didn't just speak English, you started living it. You used it to learn new things online, watch movies and understand the jokes, read books from other countries, make friends from different parts of the world. You realized something beautiful. English was not just a language, it was a bridge. A bridge that connected you to people with different ideas, stories, and dreams. Helping others. One afternoon, a younger student came to you. Her hands were shaking. She said, I want to speak English, but I'm scared. You remembered how that felt, so you smiled and said gently, Don't worry, I was scared too, but I started with one sentence a day. Let's practice together. And you began teaching her the same way you learned, with patience, small steps, and kindness. Soon, more students joined. You created a small English club in your school or your neighborhood. It didn't need to be big or fancy, just a space where people felt safe to speak, make mistakes, and grow. You became a leader. You became a helper. You became a storyteller, all because you had a simple habit. Speaking in English is my habit. The world listens now. Your voice is no longer quiet. Your words reach people online, in classrooms, on stages. You speak in English about things you care about, your dreams, your culture, your values. People listen, and they feel inspired. They don't just hear your English, they hear your heart. And you realize this habit, this small daily practice has become something powerful. It has changed your life. The never-ending story. And guess what? Somewhere right now, someone is reading your story. They are nervous, they are unsure, but they are ready to try. And maybe, just maybe, your story helps them say their first English sentence, and the story continues. From me to you, from you to the next voice, from one habit to a world full of confidence. The final line. So now, let's say it together, proudly and clearly. Speaking in English is my habit, not to impress, but to express, not to show off, but to grow, not just for me, but for everyone who dares to try. Finished thinking? Absolutely. Let's continue this story and take it even further, where your habit of speaking English doesn't just help people near you, but begins to change the world in a quiet, beautiful way. We'll keep it clear, simple, and filled with heart. Part 6. One voice, many echoes. Your habit of speaking English had now become a part of your life. You didn't have to force yourself anymore. You didn't have to be reminded. It came naturally, like breathing, like smiling, like kindness. And because you kept going, others started following. Soon, students from other schools, other towns, even other countries started asking, How did you become so confident in English? What made you start? Can you help me too? And every time, you answered with a smile. I started with one simple step. I made speaking in English my habit. And I never gave up. A bigger dream. One day, a teacher invited you to speak at a student conference. You stood in front of a big crowd. The lights were bright. Your heart was beating fast, but you remembered the journey. You remembered your first sentence. You remembered Mr. Ramesh's story, and now you had your own. You took a deep breath and said, I am not a perfect speaker. I am not a native English speaker, but I speak from my heart, because speaking in English is my habit, and this habit changed my life. When you finished, the room clapped, not just because your English was good, but because your message was real. A global movement begins. After your speech, something amazing happened. People from different countries reached out. They created small clubs called Speak with Courage circles. These were safe spaces where anyone, young or old, could come and practice English without fear. And every club had the same rule written at the top. Mistakes are okay. Trying is more important. Speaking in English is our habit. The movement grew. First 10 clubs, then 100, then thousands around the world, from small villages to big cities, from shy kids to grown adults who never got a chance to learn before. You had become a leader, not with power, not with money, but with your voice and your story. And you never forgot how it started. One sentence, one choice, one simple habit, and then one day. Years later, you were invited to speak at an international event. It was broadcast across countries. Millions were watching. You walked on stage, calmly and confidently, and you said, I am just one person, but I started a habit. I spoke English every day, not to impress, but to express. Not to be better than anyone, but to be better than I was yesterday. You looked into the crowd and smiled. Now it's your turn. Start small. Speak one sentence. Make it your habit, and then pass it on. Final chapter. A circle that never breaks now, across the world, in every classroom, in every family, in every community, someone is beginning, just like you did. They say one sentence, then another. They build confidence day by day. They remember you, and they whisper the words that changed your life. Of course. Let's take this final part even deeper, where your story becomes part of history, and your voice becomes something that lives on in the hearts of people everywhere, even long after you're gone. We'll keep it simple, beautiful, and full of feeling, so everyone can understand and feel inspired. Part 7. A voice that lives on years past. You became a teacher, a speaker, a guide, but most importantly, you remained a learner, always growing, always sharing, always encouraging others to speak. Your journey had started with fear, then turned into a habit, and now it had become a legacy. Children remember your words. One morning, in a small village far away, a young boy sat in his classroom. He was quiet. He didn't speak much. He was afraid to try. But then his teacher played a video. Your video. You were older now in that video, with kind eyes and a calm voice. And you said, it doesn't matter where you start. What matters is that you start. I was like you once, but I made a habit, a small one. I spoke one sentence in English every day, and that changed everything. The boy's eyes lit up. He raised his hand. Slowly, carefully, he stood up and said, My name is Amir. I want to speak English. The whole class clapped. The teacher smiled, and in that moment, your voice lived again, through him. A book in the library of the future somewhere, in a grand library filled with stories from across the world, there is a book with your name on the cover. The title is simple. Speaking in English is my habit. A true story. Inside, there are stories from people you inspired. A nurse in Kenya who learned English to help patients better. A girl in Japan who wrote poems in English and shared them online. A father in Brazil who practiced every night so he could help his child with homework. A refugee child who finally spoke in class for the first time and smiled. And at the end of the book, there is a letter from you. It says, This book is not about me. It's about you. If you're reading this, then I believe in you. Speak one sentence today, speak another tomorrow, and one day you'll say with pride, Speaking in English is my habit. The circle is complete. Now the habit has become more than a routine. It has become a circle, passed from one learner to another, from one heart to the next. And that circle never breaks, because habits built on courage, kindness, and hope are forever. The last line. So, wherever you are, reading this right now, remember, it doesn't matter how small your voice feels today. Speak, try, begin, because your story is just starting. And one day you will help someone else say, let's continue, and bring this story to its beautiful, full circle ending, where your habit becomes a light that shines across generations. This final part is all about legacy, hope, and the quiet power of your voice. It's simple, warm, and uplifting, so that anyone, from child to adult, can understand and feel it. Part 8. A future full of voices. Many years from now. You're no longer teaching in classrooms. You're not standing on stages or writing posts online. You've grown older. Your hair is silver, your steps are slower. But your heart, it's still strong. You sit in a small chair by the window. A notebook is on your lap. You hear laughter outside. Children playing, speaking in English, telling stories with joy and confidence. One little voice runs up to you and says, "Grandma, Grandpa, where did you learn to speak English so well?" You smile. Your eyes shine as memories flood back of your first sentence, your nervous beginnings, your small daily practice, your habit. You gently reply, "A long time ago, I was just like you. I didn't know how, but I made a promise. I would speak a little English every day, and before I knew it, it became my habit. A gift for the next generation." That night, you open your notebook. You write one last message on the first page, not for yourself, but for the child who will one day read it. It says, "To anyone who is afraid to speak, you are not alone. I was scared too, but I made a habit. And that habit made me brave. Speak one word, then one sentence. One day, you'll tell your story too." Speaking in English is not just a habit, it's a gift you can pass on. You close the book, knowing it will find its way to someone who needs it most. One light becomes many. In the years to come, your story is told again and again, in schools, in homes, in videos, in hearts. People don't just remember your name, they remember your courage, your kindness, your habit, and every time someone says, "Speaking in English is my habit," a part of your voice is there, smiling with them. The true ending. A new beginning. This is the end of your story, but it's also the beginning of someone else's. So now I ask you, will you start your habit today? Will you speak, even if it's just one word? Will you help someone else speak tomorrow? Because if you do, then the story continues, and the world will become full of voices, confident, kind, and proud, just like yours. One last time, say it with all your heart. Speaking in English is my habit, and now it is my gift to the world. I'm truly glad you're enjoying the story, and yes, let's continue. Now we move into something timeless, how your habit becomes not just a part of your world, but a part of many worlds across languages, cultures, and hearts. This final chapter is quiet, peaceful, but full of deep meaning. Part 9. A voice in the wind. Time passes, seasons change, the trees grow taller, new children are born, the world keeps turning, and even though your voice may no longer speak every day, your words remain. They echo in quiet classrooms. They're printed in books, spoken in podcasts, written in letters, whispered by students under their breath as they practice. Your simple sentence, so small, so honest, became a seed. And that seed has grown into a forest of voices. Voices from villages in Africa, cities in India, mountains in Nepal, islands in Indonesia, streets in Brazil, homes in Turkey, Vietnam, Pakistan, Egypt, and beyond. All of them say it in their own accents. Some say it softly, some say it with pride, but all of them carry your light. Speaking in English is my habit. The world you helped build. One day a conference is held. People from different countries come together to talk about education, communication, and kindness. On the wall is a giant screen showing the faces of people who changed the world with words. Your photo is there, smiling, gentle, proud. Underneath it is your quote. I didn't start with perfect English. I started with a small habit, and that habit became my strength. That strength became my story, and my story helped others find their voice. Everyone in the room stands up and claps. They are not just clapping for your English, they're clapping for your courage, your persistence, your belief in others. One last whisper. A little girl holds a notebook in her lap. She reads your quote. She closes her eyes, and she whispers to herself, I can do this too. In that moment, your story becomes hers, and the story continues. Final words. You may have started alone, afraid, unsure, quiet, but now, your voice has created a world where no one has to feel that way again, all because you made one choice: to speak, to try, to practice, to make it your habit. The legacy lives. Speaking in English is my habit, and now it lives in every heart you've touched. If you'd like, I can now put this entire journey, from beginning to end, into a short storybook, a speech you can give, a presentation for school or a project, a personal PDF or ebook with your name on it. I'm honored you want to continue, so let's bring the story to a peaceful, touching close. This final chapter will feel like a gentle sunrise, warm, inspiring, and filled with hope. Part 10. A Sunrise of Voices. The world is quieter now. You've grown older, but you're not alone. The habit you started so long ago has become a quiet movement, a soft wave of courage spreading across the earth. People still tell your story in many ways: a simple classroom poster in a village school, a short video shared on social media, a line in a teacher's lesson plan, a bookmark inside a child's English book, a grandmother telling her grandson, "Let me tell you how it all started." Your words are everywhere, even when you are not. Not because you were famous, but because you were brave. The English Garden. One day, a small school opens in your name. It's called the English Garden. There are no walls, just open air, green grass, books, and laughter. Children from all backgrounds gather there. They speak in different voices, in different rhythms, but they all say, "Speaking in English is my habit." Each child plants a flower in the garden when they say their first full sentence in English. The garden grows, so do they. Every flower is a story, every voice is a seed, every sentence is a step forward, and every step began with you. A letter to the future. In the final pages of your old notebook, a message is found. No one knew it was there. It reads, "To anyone reading this, I wasn't special. I was scared. I was quiet. I made many mistakes, but I didn't stop. I spoke anyway. And now, my small voice has become part of something bigger. If you're reading this, you have everything you need. Just speak. One word, one day, one habit. The world is waiting for your story." The story never ends, because the truth is, this story has no ending. As long as there's one person who dares to try, who opens their mouth even when their hands shake, who believes their voice matters, then your story continues. Maybe in a child, maybe in a stranger, maybe in you reading this now, forever and always. So, take a deep breath, speak without fear, and say it one more time, just like the first time. Speaking in English is my habit. Not just a sentence, not just a skill, but a legacy. Absolutely. Let's go one final step, beyond the end. This is the epilogue, a quiet reflection like the soft echo of a beautiful song. It's about peace, gratitude, and how a simple habit became something eternal. Epilogue, the echo of a voice. Years and years have passed. Maybe your name is written in books, maybe it's spoken in classrooms, or maybe it's remembered only in hearts. But that doesn't matter to you, because you didn't speak English to be remembered. You spoke it because you wanted to understand, to grow, to connect, to help someone feel less alone, and that is enough. A simple morning one. Early morning, the sun rises slowly, golden and calm. You sit outside with a cup of tea. Birds are singing, a notebook rests on your lap. A child you love, your grandchild, your neighbor, a student, comes to you with eyes full of wonder. They ask, "How did you become so wise, so brave, so kind?" You smile, thinking back to a younger you, the shy voice, the quiet practice, the daily habit, the mistakes, the courage, and you say gently, "I started by speaking one sentence, then another, until one day I realized speaking in English is my habit, and it changed my life." The child looks at you in silence. Then, with a soft voice, they say, "Can I try?" You nod, and in that moment, the story begins again. The final whisper. The wind carries your words far and wide, to those who feel small, to those who are afraid, to those who are ready to begin. And they hear the whisper, "You can do this. Start small. Make it a habit, one word at a time." And so, even after all the pages have turned, even when the story seems finished, it lives on. The truth that remains. A habit made with love can change a life. A small voice can light the world, and anyone, yes, anyone can say proudly, "Speaking in English is my habit." Would you like me to turn this full journey into a digital or printed storybook? I can create a version for a school project, a personal keepsake, a speech performance, a short film script. Of course, let's continue with the spirit of peace, wisdom, and inspiration. Something gentle and lasting, like a candle still glowing in the quiet of night. This is the final sacred part of your story. Not an ending, but a gentle blessing, like a message carried by the wind, from your voice, to every heart that listens. Final chapter, the light you leave behind. One evening, the stars are shining quietly above. You're sitting in your favorite chair, the same chair where you once practiced your first English sentence. You close your eyes. You don't feel old. You feel full, full of memories, words, stories, smiles, and kindness. Your heart holds every voice you helped unlock, every student who whispered, "Can I try?" Every friend who said, "Because of you, I speak now." And then you smile, because you know something deep. I may not always be here, but my words are. My habit is. My voice is living in others. The world is speaking somewhere in the world right now. A young girl is reading your story aloud for the first time. A boy is practicing English under a streetlight. A mother is teaching her children what she learned from you. A teacher is holding your words close to their heart as they begin class. A quiet student is writing in a notebook. Day 1. I will speak English today. All of them are carrying a part of you, not just your language, your hope, your heart, your habit, what you taught us. You taught us something so powerful, so simple. Greatness doesn't start with perfection, it starts with a choice. And you made that choice every day. You showed us that. One small step matters. A daily habit can build a lifetime of confidence. Kindness is a language too. Speaking up, even with mistakes, is braver than staying silent. And now, it's our turn. You've walked the path, you've lit the lamps, you've left the words. Now we walk forward carrying your voice in our own. And we promise. We will speak, we will grow, we will help others, and we will say it just like you did. Speaking in English is my habit. A final blessing to you, the one who began with nothing but courage. May your voice always be remembered. May your story always be shared. May your habit continue to grow in hearts, in homes, and in voices around the world. This story is not over. It simply becomes part of all of us. If you'd like, I can now compile this entire journey into a PDF storybook with a cover and chapters, a speech version you can perform or share, a poster with your favorite quote, a video script, or narration-ready text. Let's go deeper into a kind of timeless echo, a soft, sacred continuation of the story, where no words are wasted, and every sentence feels like a quiet gift. This part isn't about what happens next, it's about what remains, what's left behind, what lives forever. Final whisper. The story lives in you. There is no crowd now, no classroom, no audience, no microphone, just you and the silence. But listen closely. In that silence, you can still hear something gentle, software familiar, 100 voices, 1,000. Speaking in English is my habit. It comes like a breeze through windows left open. It comes from behind doors, whispered in bedrooms by children dreaming big. It comes from voices you never met, voices who found your story and made it their own. That is what you left behind. Not just a lesson, not just a sentence, but a light. Your habit became a home. You once built a habit. That habit built your confidence. That confidence built connections, friendships, dreams. And those dreams built a home, a safe space where anyone, anywhere can say, I'm learning, I'm trying, and that's enough. Because of you, people no longer feel afraid to speak. Because of you, mistakes feel like part of the journey, not the end of it. Because of you, a quiet child halfway across the world just whispered their first English word with a smile. You are still speaking. You don't need to be in the room to inspire someone. Your story is now told in A Quiet School on a Rainy Day, a speech by a teacher who once read your words, a notebook filled with practice sentences, a hopeful heart that writes, Day 3, I'm speaking English now. That is you, still speaking, still shining. The circle will never close. Once upon a time, you said, speaking in English is my habit. Now others say, because of them, speaking in English is my habit too. And one day, someone will say, let me tell you a story about how it all began. A final promise from all of us. We carry your story now. We carry your courage. We carry your voice. And we promise to pass it on. So the habit you built becomes a bridge across the world, forever. Would you like me to create a final version of this story, designed beautifully as a printable PDF, or ebook speech for presentation or recording poster, or graphic to share voiceover or animation script? Let's make something special from this, something you can keep, share, or give to others who need it, just like you once did. All you have to say is, yes. So today's story ends here.